Hey there, it's JoJo. Welcome back, Wonders. And if you are new to this channel, hi, welcome. Come on by, have a seat, learn something today. So, we all know, or at least I think a lot of us know, that in 2019, Disney announced that they will be remaking the popular 80s movie, The Little Mermaid. You know, the mermaid princess swims around underwater, wants to be up there with the humans, wants to be on land, you know, living her best life with the humans. I really don't know why we aren't that great, but... And the biggest issue is that Halle Bailey has been casted as Ariel, Princess Ariel. And Halle Bailey is black. She's black. She's a black woman. And, you know, a lot of people have problems with this. They say hashtag not my Ariel. This is not the Ariel I remember. This isn't who I grew up with. You know, people are saying like, why are we race swapping? Yeah, you know, I'm not going to support this film, blah, 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 blah. You know, all of these things once they saw who was cast as Ariel. So, yeah, finally, like 2.5, 3 years later, I'm finally going to give my opinion on it. And let's have a discussion, you know, while we're at it here. So before we just hop into the meat and potatoes, let me just flat out say that I think Ariel should have just stayed white, probably. And I know that's not the popular opinion. That's not what most people want to hear. But I just feel like she probably should have just stayed white. Do I have a problem with Ariel being black? Not necessarily, but I understand what goes behind a decision like that. And I can see how it ruffles feathers amongst Americans. And so, yeah, let's get into that. So, disclaimer. I have nothing against Halle Bailey. I love her and her sister. I'm rooting for the both of them. I'm wishing Halle the best for her career. I really hope the movie is successful. I genuinely do. And I want her to be the best that she can be. I want her to be the best mermaid that she can be. I want her to be the best actress, the best singer, whatever she sets out to do. I hope she is the best at what she can do or what she wants to do, right? My issue is more so the wokeness of Disney and their tendency to try to shake things up when they have no business doing so, or when it's not really all that appropriate. I think Halle would make a wonderful, melodious mermaid of the seas. You know, I just don't think she should be Ariel. You know, I know that a lot of black people see this as a win, and I don't. I don't see this as a win. I don't think we're coming up in America because Ariel was turned into a black character, and I'm going to explain why, and hopefully you understand. So, for starters, blackness does not need to ride the coattails of whiteness to be successful. I know we still live in a country where black movies still don't sell as well as often as white movies do, or movies featuring a mostly white lead or mostly white cast rather. And, you know, I understand we still live in a world like that, but we have things like Black Panther that was wildly successful. I don't know about the second one. I haven't seen the second one, but it just goes to show that we don't have to use whiteness as a foundation to have a come up. Does that make sense? I think that our talent and our beauty and our mysticism, I think that can all be acknowledged without recoloring over a white character. The only time I'd be okay with that is if the actual original story or piece of something that it was taken from was actually a black character that was turned white, then I'd be totally okay with that. But Ariel is a recreation of what's that guy's name? The guy who, Hans Christian Andersen, I think he wrote that. I think he wrote The Little Mermaid, right? And so I don't think she was specifically a race in that book, but Disney took that version and made a white girl with big red hair, red lips, blue eyes, you know, white skin tone. And that's Ariel. So I just don't like the idea of using a successful Caucasian character that was, at least whose version was always Caucasian, and to repaint and recolor her to be like, yeah, this is a come up, you know, woohoo for black people. Like, not really. I don't feel completely right doing that or having that done, right? I mean, I didn't make the decisions in the office. That wasn't me, but I just don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel comfortable like being happy about that. Not gonna lie, when the trailers first hit the scene, I was like, yes, this is amazing. Oh my God, Ariel's black. Wow. And then I thought about it after a while and I'm like, this isn't what something's not selling right in me anymore. Like, it's not, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right anymore. Like, something about this isn't right. And I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, like, we're kind of taking away from an established character just to promote diversity. And don't get me wrong, as a black person, I'm all for diversity. But over-coloring or coloring over and masking white people or really any other race, that's not really how I want it to happen. I want it to happen organically. I want it to happen like people are creating new stories with black leads, with amazing black characters, and those become popular, successful, and go down in history, like Ariel, like, well, Princess Jasmine isn't white, but like Cinderella, you know, like any of the white princesses or any of the iconic white Disney characters. Just, I want more stories featuring characters of color, especially black people, that go down in history. You know, I don't want a recoloring of one. Like, I don't want them to remake Sleeping Beauty and, you know, Briar Rose is a black girl. Like, at least not from Disney. I don't want Disney doing that. If some other company who has nothing to do with it wants to make Sleeping Beauty a black woman, fine. But when you take a character that you already established as a certain race, whose origins aren't specifically from any racial group, it just becomes kind of... And I know people say that, you know, well, since she wasn't really a color in the book, then it's okay to make her brown in a retelling. And I actually agree with that. The difference is that Disney already made 3 movies of a Caucasian Ariel with red hair and blue eyes already. Ariel has already been established. If they came out the gate with a black Ariel, that would be kind of different. So yeah. Yeah. Let's keep in mind that this is a remake. This is not a new original. What does Disney do that's original? This is not a new original story. You see what I'm saying? So it would be different if... So you know how they made Princess and the Frog, right? And how Tiana's black? Since Disney's original story does not feature, since Disney didn't have an original Frog Prince story, then I'm okay with them taking who I'm sure was a story about 2 Caucasians with a white male prince being a frog and a Caucasian or white female being a princess. Was she like a pauper? Did she become a princess?
I don't really know, but
I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be about 2 white people originally from the actual original storybook. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But because it was Disney's version, I'm okay with them making it a black woman. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. I hope that makes sense. That's the difference for me. Like, if you're going to create something, like if you're going to do something, like make it either a continuation of the story where it's like a part two, where like you can have like a different character, or maybe it's the character's kid or something like that, like a sequel or something like that, then okay. But when you already established a character a certain way, I don't like the idea of race swapping them. Like, if you made a character that started off Asian, right? Like, we can't really use Mulan for an example because that story is literally Asian and has everything to do with Chinese culture. So we can't really erase that. But you know, if Disney made a movie that just happened to feature an Asian lead, and it's been that way, they made movies 1 and 2, and then they say, okay, we're going to remake this movie 20, 30 years later, and now they're black. It's like, wait, what? You already established this person for several movies as a white person or as an Asian person. You can't just switch it. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel on that. Like, we've gotten to know Ariel for 30 years now. I think she came out in the 80s. So over 30 years now, for a spanning of 3 movies, she's been a Caucasian girl with red hair, blue eyes, white skin. And you can't just, you know, up and be like, okay, you know, they're black, and like pretend like you didn't even notice anything. Like, you can't act like people aren't going to notice the huge change from Ariel going from a white girl to a black girl when she's been a white for 3 movies in 30 years. Like, come on now. Another point I want to bring up is, if you think about it, we get the second-rate Little Mermaid. And no, chill out. I'm not saying she's second-rate because she's black. I'm saying she's second-rate because Ariel is so iconic that she's so iconic and so well established that anything that comes after her that looks anything different from her is just going to be second rate. It just is what it is. Like I said, 30 years, we all know who Ariel is. So we'll get the second rate mermaid. And it doesn't feel right to me to now we have to have the conversation and say, like, which Ariel? Now we have to do that. You know, if someone's like,
oh, you know, I love Ariel,
but then they're like,
oh, well, which one?
Which one? Like, and you know, they're going to have them. It's Disney. They're going to have the merchandise. They're going to have the black Ariel doll. I'm pretty sure, if they don't have it already. And then they're going to have the traditional white Ariel one, which I don't think is going to cause too many problems, but it's still the thing of now you have to pick one. And I'm sure some girls or some children will probably want both. And that's fine. That's great. But I'm just saying, like, now you have to pick your Ariel. And I feel like it's going to be awkward to where it's like, if you try to reach for the white
one, oh, well, what's wrong with the black one?
And if you reach for the black one, it's going to be
like, oh, you're that person.
Maybe I'm over exaggerating it, but I just feel like that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I just want a first rate mermaid. Like, I feel like Disney could have just made a brand new story about a mermaid. I'm not against that. Name it something else. Change her name. Give us a whole new production. Didn't they do that with a movie called like Splash or something like that? Maybe I'm mistaken. I have to look that up and see. But I feel like there was a mermaid movie that they made. Still a white girl. I want to say she was blonde. It was so long ago. But, you know, why couldn't they have done something like that? Do something like that, you know, where you can recreate a brand new mermaid story, make her black, and then it wouldn't be so awkward because she wouldn't be Ariel. She wouldn't be competing with the iconic Ariel. And we wouldn't have to have this division amongst Americans where it's like, well, you know, which Ariel do you want? You know, and if you pick the white one, then, you know, you don't like black people. And if you like the black one, then you're so overly woke. And it's just like, come on now. Like, this, in my opinion, as a black person, this is not representation. Like, painting over, like I said before, painting over a character that was previously white, that's been established as white, whose roots are white, at least in that company's recreation, that's not representation. True representation is an original story with an original cast, with a character with a different elite, with a different name. And, you know, to me, that's representation. I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I wish Halle Bailey the best, but I'm just not really on board with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not fully on board with this. Whew, okay, so if you haven't already drugged me up and down the streets, I want to get into, let's talk about the Black community for a moment and what this movie means to, or what this production means to many of us. Okay, I understand wanting to be happy because you're seen as or you get the opportunity to be seen as an iconic, beloved character who's wildly popular and successful. You know, now she's brown, like you get to see yourself in that. As a Black person, I totally understand that. I'm a Black man, for crying out loud. Like, Disney shades us the worst out of any other group. Like, where is the Black Prince? You made a whole movie about, and that's a video I'm going to do later on about Princess and the Frog, because I have several things to say about that, both good and not so great, but that's for another video. But where are the Black men? Like, when I was a child too, I was a Black boy, and I didn't get to see myself in any of them. Like, back then, before Tiana came out, all the Black girls had were like Jasmine. And Jasmine's like Middle Eastern / Arab / Persian. So, you know, and she wasn't Black, but that was the closest that Black girls had. And the closest that we had, like, as far as like leads, I guess we had Aladdin. That was really it. And Aladdin's clearly not Black. So I totally understand being able to finally see yourself in something that's considered a beloved classic in Disney's vault and collection. I totally get that, because I want to see myself in that too. You know, Prince Naveen isn't Black. We still don't have a Black prince to this day. And that's another video I will get on, because I know they announced some kind of Black prince from a live action TV show, which I'll get into that another time. But yeah, I totally get wanting to see yourself. I want to see myself as a merman. You know, like, why, if they were really going to do the thing with making people Black, why not give Ariel a Black father? That would have shut me up. Not entirely. I still would have felt some kind of way about this production, but they could have made King Triton a Black man. If you have a Black daughter, why not just have a Black man? That would have been right there, a Black king in a Disney movie. There we go. Although I would rather it be an animated film, but, you know, small steps with Disney. We can't really rely on Disney for any type of accurate representation that's not problematic. But yeah, I totally get it. And when I saw the videos of the little Black girls on TikTok crying, hollering or screaming out of joy, just being really, really happy that that Ariel is a Black girl, I literally, I kid you not, I almost shed tears. Like, it brought tears to my eyes, because although I'm not a girl, I understand that feeling. I understand, like, that's what I wanted to feel when I was that age. I wanted to be like, wow, you know, a Black prince, or, you know, he's Black. Like, there's someone I can see myself in. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how important that is. It's very important, but this just isn't the way I want it to happen. I don't want it to happen by erasing not only Caucasian people, but also redheads. Like, the pickings are kind of slim for redheads. Like, I think red hair is gorgeous. And Ariel she'll still have the red hair from what we can see. Her locks are kind of like a brownish red, and that's great. But we just kind of keep erasing, like, the whole pale redhead things, especially since I don't know what it is about the white community, but for some reason you guys
don't care for redheads.
Like, you call them soulless gingers. I don't know what that's about. I'm not white, but it's nice to have a representation of a beautiful person who is a ginger, who is full of personality, excitement. They love to explore. I personally don't think Ariel is the best role model, but that's another video. But I can understand if you're a naturally ginger person and that's your representation, and then it's taken away. So yeah, I get it, Black people, but at the same time, like, this is just not the way to go about it. I want to take a moment to talk about the hashtag Not My Ariel hate train. For those of you that were disrespecting Halle simply because she was casted, she didn't force herself into the role. She didn't make people give it to her. She didn't snatch it out of someone's hands. She tried out for a role and she got it. Like, she was probably surprised herself.
I was like, oh my God, I'm Black. I got the role.
She was probably surprised. And I just don't appreciate all of the memes and all of the evil that was going on social media, making fun of her because of a race and a skin tone that she was literally born into that she couldn't control. That's not cool. I understand people's feelings about Ariel being race swapped, and I can understand them being upset. I myself am not Caucasian, but I can understand why they would be upset. However, if your reaction and your response is to tease her, berate her, and drag her for her race, and sort of the culture that comes with it a lot of the times, I have no holler for you. Like, that's not cool. I condemn that. What's the other word for it? I rebuke thee. Like, that's not cool. So I just want to take a moment to say that, like, you can express how you feel without being racist. Like, that's not cool. One more thing before I end this video. So a lot of people are saying, like,
oh, this is no different from, making Tiana white. What if we made Tiana white? Then you would understand.
Let's talk about that. Let's have an actual conversation about that. So in the Disneyverse, or whatever the name for it is, if people made up a name for it, there are probably quite literally 10 to 15 white princesses, right? There's one Black one Native American one, somewhat of an Asian one, or now there are two now. I don't think Raya was a princess. Maybe she was. I don't remember. I saw the movie, I just don't remember. And then there's like kind of one with Moana for Polynesians, and in Arabs. If I didn't already say, the Arab girls get one. So when you have 10 girls in which they have various eye colors, hair colors, backgrounds, personalities, and you have one Black character, and you change that Black character's race to white to join the other plethora of white girls, that is not the same thing as taking one white princess and making her Black. Let's look at her, because someone might say, and I do believe that redheads are absolutely losing their representation, but can we not act like Merida doesn't exist? Like, I think they literally have the exact same color palette, which it still doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying that's how many white princesses there are. Whereas if you were to lose one, I mean, is it that huge? Versus you only had one to begin with, and it took to two.
That's all, folks.
It took to 2009 to get her. So if we lost that one, we lose everything. If the Native American girls, even though Pocahontas, that story within itself, that whole production is problematic, but if you were to change Pocahontas, Native girls would have nothing. If you were to change Mulan, as far as is it East Asians? They lose it. So it's not the same thing when you have a plethora of others and only one of a type of person of color. Does that make sense? So can we please stop using that argument? Like, we have to take what we can get. You know what I'm saying? There's like a supply and demand kind of thing with it. Like there's only one black princess. So if you want more of the black girls coming to support you, you're going to kind of need to keep that one black character. Versus if we lose a Cinderella, and I love Cinderella, obviously, but versus like taking a Cinderella, for example, and changing her, while I wouldn't support that from Disney. Overall, it wouldn't hurt the representation for white girls. But okay, there we go. Oh, that makes sense. But okay, all right, I'm done with this. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I feel like there's a lot to discuss with this. There's different sides. Again, I stand strong with my thought process on this, because just because black people are getting a black character to somewhat add to the Disney roster, I don't approve of how it's being done. And yeah, so I want to hear what you all have to say. Tell me in the comment section below. Boom. No, seriously. Tell me in the comment section below what you think. And yeah, let's have a respectful dialogue. There's no need to get nasty. There's nothing that any of us can do about the movie coming out, even though I would rather it not really come out either, or at least come out like this. It's coming out no matter what. So let's respectfully give our opinions. And yeah, I would love to chat with you guys down below. And stay tuned for the next video. JoJo out. I am such a clown. Bye. Goodness gracious.